upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a piece of wood. This piece of wood was part of a bridge, which was built across a river, which ran around a courtyard. In the middle of this courtyard was a drawbridge, which belonged to a castle made of stone. In this castle made of stone was a window made of glass, and behind this window made of glass was a witch who wanted to be famous. She wanted to be #1, and she would do anything to be #1. But she wasn't, and she asked her magical iPod why this was.
iPod, iPod, in my hand, who's the coolest lady in the land?
And the iPod replied,
Well, who other than the one and only Snow White? Seems obvious, doesn't it? What? I must come up with a plan to get rid of Snow White.
as she sat there and hummed, and hawed,
Huh.
and did a jig.
Just kidding.
A picture appeared on the iPod of where Snow White was. She decided that she was going to trick one of the dwarves who lived in the woods into getting rid of Snow White for her. But which one? Meanwhile, Snow White was wandering through the forest, picking flowers and berries for the prince.
I'm picking flowers and berries for the prince.
You, the audience, already knows that, I think. Anyway, Snow White had wandered a little too far into the woods, and she could not find her way out.
Oh no, I'm lost.
As she sat there, she heard some singing far in the distance.
We will not go to work. We will not go to work.
Now, Snow White didn't like being by herself, so she came up with an idea.
Idea.
She decided to, can anybody guess? No?
Think?
She decided to follow the sound to the cottage where the 7 dwarves lived. As she got closer, she heard the lazy dwarves singing again.
We will not go to work. We will not go to work.
So Snow White crept up to the house and quietly knocked on the door. But they didn't hear her because they were too loud, playing their video games and dancing to music. So she knocked again, louder this time. But again, they didn't hear her. Maybe this time you can help. By saying, dwarves, dwarves, let me in on the count of 3. You guys got that? Dwarves, dwarves, let me in. 1, 2, 3.
Dwarves, dwarves, let me in.
Not by the hair of our chinny chin chins.
1 minute. That line is from the wrong fairy tale. Anyway, she got the dwarves' attention and she introduced herself.
Hi, I'm Snow White, and I got lost. I heard you singing, so I came to see what was happening.
After the dwarves gave her a blank stare, they slowly started to introduce themselves.
I'm grumpy. Don't ever get on my nerves, because I'm grumpy all the time.
This is our humble abode, located in the west quarter of the green forest that circuit these enchanted woods. Pleased to meet you, madame. I'm Dolph, by the way. This character to my side, looking at his feet, is bashful, pardon his shyness.
Hi, I'm Dopey.
Golly gee, I'm happy.
And Snow White replied.
It's very nice to meet you all.
As Snow White stepped inside the tiny cottage, she saw the huge mess that the dwarves had made. There were dirty dishes everywhere and seven tiny unmade beds.
Oh my goodness, what a mess this is. Okay, let's start by doing some dishes. Dopey, you go fetch a pail of water.
So, with Snow White giving the orders, Dopey headed out into the forest with a bucket in his hand. Back in the cottage, Snow White was busy handing out more chores.
Let's see. Grumpy, you sweep the floor.
So, Grumpy slowly dragged his feet over to the closet where the broom was, mumbling and complaining the whole time.
I don't want to do this. I don't see any dirt on this floor.
The cottage was looking better already, despite Grumpy's complaining, but there was still more work to be done.
Wow, it's so dark in here. Doc, It's your job to fix the light bulb.
Indubitably, madame.
Bashful, you are in charge of dusting.
But there was no answer.
Bashful?
Grumpy was quick to answer for him.
Can't you see that he is shy? He's hiding in the closet.
So, Snow White tiptoed over to the closet and found Bashful sitting inside. Bashful quickly stood up and grabbed the duster, and he took off before he had to say any words at all. Snow White was quick to give another order.
Happy, it's your job to clean the toilets.
Oh, golly gee. Thanks, Snow White. I will do that right away.
The cottage was looking mighty fine. Meanwhile, as Dopey was walking back to the cottage with a bucket of water for the dishes, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there was what looked like an old lady standing on the side of the road. Dopey didn't know it, but the old lady was, in fact, the Wicked Witch in disguise.
Ouch! Ouch, my leg! Sir, can you please help me? My leg hurts so badly I don't think I'll be able to walk by myself. Please, sir, will you help me?
Being the nice guy that Dopey is, he couldn't just keep walking past the old lady. He had to stop and help. At the same time, Dopey was not a very bright dwarf, and he didn't know that he was helping the witch.
What's wrong? What's wrong?
I just stepped in a hole and my ankle hurts so badly. Can you please help me walk back to my cottage? It's just down the road a little ways, around the bend, over the bridge, across the grass, through the flowers, down the walkway, and the first left on Drury Lane.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm not sure where that is.
You don't? Well, do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man! Do you know the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane?
Oh, of course. Why, sure, I can help you walk home.
Oh, thanks so much. I'll reward you once we get there.
So they walked down the road a little ways, around the bend, over the bridge, across the grass, through the flowers, down the walkway, and they turned left on Drury Lane.
Now for your reward. I'll give you a jar of corn raisin jam. Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much, sir. But make sure that you give some to that lady that is staying with you.
Dopey gratefully took the jar of poisonberry jam and set back to his cottage to share with Snow White and the rest of the dwarfs. Grumpy happily greeted him. Yeah, or not.
Well, it's about time you're home. We already ate without you. Where have you been?
I was helping an old lady, and she gave me a jar of jam in exchange. She wants you to try it.
And Bashful quietly spoke up.
But we're all full.
Of course, Snow White didn't want to hurt Dopey's feelings, so she stuck her finger in the jam and took a big fingerful and put it in her mouth. After a few seconds, Snow White was lying on the floor. The dwarves went crazy.
Snow White! Snow White! What's wrong?
Who did you say you got this jar of jam from, Dopey?
An old lady?
No! That was the Wicked Witch in disguise.
Oh no! What can we do?
Let's call Prince Charming.
So that's what they did. They called out the door and out the windows into the forest. But their voices weren't loud enough. They needed extra help. Grumpy had an idea.
Let's get everyone in the audience to help. Do you think you can? Yeah. On the count of 3, let's call Prince Charming, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Prince Charming!
The Prince Charming just happened to be riding his Hummer, and he heard a call. He looked on his GPS, and he realized that he had to go immediately to the Seven Dwarfs' cottage. So he drove quickly there and went to see what the problem is. Dopey greeted him.
We need your help. Snow White ate some poisonberry jam that the witch gave to us in disguise.
Take me to her. I will save her.
But the prince couldn't remember how. He asked the dwarves. They just all shook their heads.
Maybe our audience will know. Do you guys remember how I saved Snow White?
Yeah.
How do I save her?
Kiss.
Oh yeah, kiss.